Gene Jernigan for being with us once again on the Oakland County Megacast. Gene, thank you for being with us today.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you? How's your team?
Doing great. Doing good. Yeah, we're back in the office, so things are going really well right now. Everybody's staying healthy, so that's good too.
Always good to hear. It's been a while since we've last spoke to you, and there's been a lot of changes that have been made. A lot of businesses have reopened. How is the business community in the Auburn Hills community holding up? Has the recovery thus far been fruitful for them?
So far, yes, I am pleased to say for the most part, we've found that a lot of our local small businesses, especially in our downtown, have reopened and are finding that they're quite busy, but some are also still experiencing a little bit of a slowdown. So it just depends as far as, with what's happening with relation to the phases for the state of Michigan. But at the same time, a lot of our larger businesses still remain in a work from home status. It just really varies quite a bit depending on the business.
Have you seen the changes that have come through during this? Mostly, like you mentioned, working from home for these larger businesses. Have they seen an advantageous point of having people work at home during this? And is that something that they're going to continue on with going forward?
It's interesting because we've done quite a few just surveys and just asking our members some of the details as far as what they're experiencing and what they anticipate. And each is a little different depending on if they actually have a manufacturing floor or not. And for some of them, they are looking at a September 1 return, depending on obviously, again, the phases and what's going on in the state. But then at the same time, we have some businesses that have said that they will remain home until the end of the year, which is, and then take a look at it then to see what works for them. So it really just depends. For a lot of, I think, some of the smaller offices, it has been an easier return just depending on the makeup and the layout of their business. But at the same time, I think that most of the members that we have, if they have an opportunity to have their employees work from home, they are still continuing to do so.
Jane Jernigan is joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. She is the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce, who also happens to be our Facebook partner today. So you had mentioned that some of the businesses that have reopened since we last spoke to you a couple of months ago have had a pretty nice resurgence so far. Was that something that was expected, or was it expected that things were going to start off a little slower than maybe they have?
I think some of the businesses thought things were going to be a little bit slower, but then others that were anticipating their regular clientele to return, we've also heard that things have been a little bit sluggish from that perspective. However, what we're finding is, especially with our vibrant downtown, that of the businesses that have an opportunity to put out some tables and chairs outside and set up their outside patios, that they are experiencing a higher rate of people returning back to coming to patron their businesses. And I think that it just really, if you look at the dates, for instance, this weekend was a pretty even busy time. So I think that they experienced a great weekend from a 4th of July perspective. So yeah.
Gina, if I can ask you, what impact do you think this is going to have on the real estate market in the area long term? We're seeing some houses are selling like crazy, but then I wonder on the commercial side, are some of these businesses going to continue to work from home and then not have a regular office setting?
I know. Gosh, that's a great question. Actually, my husband is a realtor, so do hear a little bit more about that. And it's funny because you hear on the news right now that the market is a little sluggish. However, he has been busier than ever. And I think that just it really depends. But houses are selling so fast and they turn around very quickly right now. And so I think, yes, maybe with some people working from home, they might be looking for something of a little bit of a different setup for what they are currently in. But at the same time, some are also looking to downsize to make their lives a little bit simpler. So we just actually had a member, the owners of Michigan by the Bottle and Blue Skies Brewery, which is located in downtown Auburn Hills. They just did that. They actually downsized and bought a new condo that we have townhomes that are built just on the outside of downtown, and they're beautiful and they live right downtown by their business. So we have a nice walkable community. And I think that that's something that people are really trending to find, to like to be able to do.
Jean Jernigan joining us. She is the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce. With us on the Oakland County Megacast, the Auburn Hills Chamber, also our Facebook partner on today's program, and we thank them very much for partnering with us today and bringing the Oakland County Megacast to their many, many followers on Facebook. So give them a like, give us a like, and show your appreciation for the Oakland County Megacast. So, Jean, you mentioned the real estate market in Auburn Hills, and there's some very interesting real estate that is changing its face, so to speak, coming up very soon. We've seen the pictures of the Palace of Auburn Hills, of course. That's being torn down, and there's new businesses coming in there. As a rabid Detroit Pistons fan, it's devastating to me, but also as a fan of the city of Auburn Hills and their business community, I know it's great for the future of the community. What is going in at the Palace of Auburn Hills site, and how's that going to benefit going forward the business community in the city of Auburn Hills?
Well, actually, so I will first mention that the Detroit Pistons are partners of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce and still remain strong partners with us. In fact, we have a gentleman who is the senior VP of sales for the Detroit Pistons who serves on our board, Brad Lott. And I would say that I have no idea right now what is actually going on that space, but it has been zoned for manufacturing, R&D. And with the number of acres, they have an option to either parcel it off or they can actually buy the whole land outright. So they're clearly trying to get that, structure down. And right now, I don't know if you've driven by it recently. It kind of looks like an alien structure. It's very interesting, but they're definitely taking it down piece by piece. So hopefully within the next year or two, we'll see what ends up being purchased and put in that space.
Definitely an interesting developing story out of Auburn Hills. What's going to be going on at the Palace site? So, Jean Jernigan, president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce, with us on the Megacast. We've had a lot of scares recently with upticks in COVID-19 cases, particularly at gathering places such as bars and restaurants. Any concerns with compliance from local businesses in enforcing social distancing guidelines, capacity issues, and so on? Because it creates a business dilemma also, where you want to keep your business incoming without putting safety at risk, but there's also a business risk, because if you're pushing people away because they refuse to wear masks, you're losing a sale or potentially multiple sales down the line. How is Auburn Hills holding up with that dilemma?
I have not experienced any issues from the perspective of the businesses locally mentioning or saying anything about people not being compliant with the mask wearing. However, I think we all know that clearly there's some people who just do not like to wear them. But for the most part, when we have been out walking around looking and talking to the business owners, for the most part, they have been very structured with the compliance as far as making sure that everybody is wearing their masks. And at the same time, we have experienced and seen that people are doing that. So I know that, there's been different reportings and news stories lately of people who just refuse to do that, but I have not experienced it here. So we've, as far as looking at the way that they've set up the businesses, everything is set up, so it's well within the social distancing parameters. And we actually, our city of Auburn Hills actually put in a pop-up square. So if you want, you can actually go and purchase and take out items, either beer, wine, or meals, and go sit at the pop-up square. And there's nice tables and chairs and umbrellas set up over in that area. It's a really nice environment for everyone.
COVID-19 has turned the world upside down, but as someone who has their pulse on the business community, what types of businesses do you think are going to surge, and what types of businesses are going to decline?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, just from at least with the ones that we are working with, technology has definitely surged. I think that healthcare, anything healthcare related, is also surging. But then at the same time, what we're experiencing and seeing that are obviously just challenged right now is our hospitality, any of our retail. And those are the ones that, some of them, obviously they've reopened and they're just as busy. And for those that were able to go online with their with items, if they are somewhat product based versus service based, they've been able to survive. However, I think that just if you look at the environment as far as the funding that's needed to help businesses stay with the payroll protection program, that's been helpful. But that's what I would say are the businesses that we're hearing from that are a little bit challenged right now. So, and some of our nonprofits at the same time, where I know that we've been dealing with this now for a number of months, and the nonprofits definitely could use some attention and some fundraising love, just because they've been trying to do their normal fundraising virtually, and from my understanding, we have heard that has been challenging. So I realize now with everyone, just obviously struggling depending on unemployment and the situations where normally we would be and have always been a very giving society. I think that this is a time when people are tending to keep things a little bit closer to the chest and just waiting to see what's going to happen right now. And understandably, for sure. But I'll just give a shout out to our nonprofits that I'm sure could use some extra fundraising help.
Jean Jernigan with us. She's the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce with us on the Oakland County Megacast. So to kind of go back to the COVID-19 numbers and some of those concerns they've brought up, Governor Whitmer last week announced that bars would be shut down to indoor alcohol service. We've seen a lot of bars throughout the state of Michigan in East Lansing and Royal Oak and other places that have had pictures surface of people that are very packed into those local businesses and are maybe not wearing the masks. Does that present concerns to your local eateries and these local bars and restaurants that they could end up seeing a potential shutdown again in the future if people in the communities are not being careful?
For sure. Absolutely. I think that, there's always the possibility, of course, right? We're seeing it in all the other states right now. And I think that the local businesses are very hopeful that that people will be compliant and will do what they're supposed to, of course, just so that we do stay on this lower trending rise of COVID at this point. So we'll see what happens. None of us have that, mirror ball looking, none of us know for sure what's going to happen. And so that's where it's the biggest challenge, I think, right now. But so far, takeout in our little area has been working fairly well.
And it hasn't been every single bar. It hasn't been a widespread problem. It's been a lot of these isolated incidents that have then been contact traced and led to these, what we've seen in terms of these surges in COVID-19 related incidents. So in terms of other bars that have been compliant, that have been enforcing social distancing guidelines and have been maintaining capacity, what was the reaction, at least in the Auburn Hills, from your knowledge, or maybe other communities that you've been in contact with, to the decision from the governor to, on a broad level, restrict indoor alcohol service?
I would have to say, and now that this has been going on for quite some time, I think that there obviously is some frustration, but rightly so, just from the perspective of it's your business and you put your livelihood into it. And so it's challenging when you can't function and serve your normal clientele, and it gets confusing when when things change so quickly. But we are experiencing something like we've never experienced before, and from that perspective, they are creative and they've done what they can to obviously still help to serve their clientele that they really have grown to hopefully know and love. And at the same time, if you check their websites, it really does keep you updated as far as what they're doing. So some of them locally have gotten pretty creative, and we still have some that have just remained closed at this time.
Jean, if I can ask you, we are seeing more and more people stay home, remaining close to their community. And instead of traveling to other states or up north, if they wanted to visit Auburn Hills, what are the top two or three things you would say they need to see and they need to do?
Oh, that's a great question too. So one of the beautiful things about Auburn Hills is our parks. We have some very nice small parks that would provide with a nice walkability. Actually, you can walk right through downtown Auburn Hills. I would say that just stopping through the downtown and just walking through is a great opportunity. There's a number of little shops that are open, and at least you could stop and get a growler to go or grab some packaged beer and wine. I also think that, if you're looking at the Auburn Hills campus, the city of Auburn Hills campus, there are opportunities, there's walking paths that go through there. And we actually do have a nice long stretch of the Clinton River Trail, which is beautiful and is a great opportunity to just take your bikes and, ride around on the trail, stop and get some ice cream, stop and check out the river and look for the fish, and maybe just enjoy yourself, enjoy the outdoors, right?
Absolutely. We have a lot of really great parks in all the communities that we're serving here on the Oakland County MegaCast, and Auburn Hills certainly is one of those communities with some excellent trail networks and excellent parks to go and visit, on top of those other local businesses in the community as well. Gene Jernigan, the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. There's still a lot of challenges to be tackled going forward for these businesses. The resurgence of the economy in the state of Michigan and in the United States, especially in terms of small businesses, is far from over. What do these businesses need to be doing going forward to continue to have the successes that they've already been sort of experiencing as they've reopened, and capitalize on that going forward?
And one of the things I think that that everyone obviously is working very hard at doing is keeping the outward communication lines open. And I think that is so strongly important for all of us that are, still maybe so many people are working from home, and so many people are actually not having an opportunity really, or wanting to get out. And I think maybe from that perspective, some of our businesses have found a way to be creative. And, one of the things I think we had talked prior to this about maybe some of our local gyms, and it was a question I wasn't really going to address, but I would say this, that it has been an opportunity for a number of our local gyms to go online, and they still continue to do that. And they're offering challenges that you can sign up for, like a monthly challenge or a 4-week challenge. And it's something that's fun and it's exciting, and it's something you can still do with your family. And then for the retailers, our mall remains open, and there are a lot of opportunities that some of our businesses, I think now is the time for everybody to start pushing out again that outward communication. But as we head into July and August in Michigan, obviously it's a quieter time. So it gives us an opportunity maybe to take a breather, take a breath, and go visit some of your local retail establishments that maybe, put your mask on and go out and patron, shop small, so shop local.
Jane Jernigan with us. She is the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce. Just a couple more minutes before we have to let you go. Going forward, what do you expect to be some of the biggest challenges that our local business community, especially the small business community, are going to have to face as the pandemic continues?
I would say that probably similar to what, you see that we've experienced these last 3 months. I think that if we continue, or if we have another surge, we will see that some of our small businesses will start to close, or will find different things that they might, it's going to go one way or another. But I do think that, obviously it's been an economic challenge for all of us, and especially for some of our smaller businesses. But at the same time, if there was times when they were not already getting creative with technology, now would be the time to do so, for sure.
Gene, anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. It's been great talking to you, and we really appreciate the opportunity to showcase our beautiful community.
We thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You as well. Jane Jernigan, the president of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce.